welcome back to Maple Leafs Media. As always, I'm Jake Varco, and the NHL's trade deadline officially passed on Monday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The Toronto Maple Leafs made a plethora of moves, however, they weren't actually very active on trade deadline day. Most of their movement actually came in the weeks leading up to the trade deadline and on Sunday. In order to make some sort of splash move before the NHL's trade deadline, the Maple Leafs first needed to clear up some cap space, and that's exactly what they did on Sunday when they sent Travis Dermott to the Vancouver Canucks in exchange for the Winnipeg Jets 2022 third-round pick. The Leafs also placed goaltenders Peter Mrazek and Harry Sateri on waivers, along with Kyle Clifford, and it was announced on Monday that the Arizona Coyotes claimed Harry Sateri, Finnish goaltender, who won a gold medal at the 2022 Winter Olympics. Meanwhile, Peter Mrazek and Kyle Clifford both cleared waivers, meaning they will return to the Toronto Maple Leafs. The Toronto Maple Leafs did make a pretty significant splash ahead of the NHL's trade deadline when they acquired defenseman Mark Giordano and center Colin Blackwell from the Seattle Kraken in exchange for a pair of second-round picks and a third-round pick. Giordano is a former James Norris Memorial Trophy winner, and in 55 games played this season, he has 6 goals and 17 assists. He will also reunite with his former teammate, TJ Brodie, and it will be interesting to see if the Maple Leafs bring this pairing back. It would actually make a lot of sense to do so, considering Brodie has chemistry with the 38-year-old Mark Giordano from their time together in Calgary. In this deal, Seattle is retaining 50% of Mark Giordano's $6.75 million cap hit, and his contract is set to expire at the end of this season. Now for more about Colin Blackwell. He is a 28-year-old center who has played in 39 games this season. He's posted 8 goals and 9 assists in that time. He's also on an expiring contract with a cap hit of $725,000. Obviously, Blackwell's not the big fish in this trade. That would be Mark Giordano. But Blackwell, he will serve his purpose for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Likely to see him on some penalty kill units. And really, he's a grindy forward. He's not going to score too many goals, but if he does, that's just more value that you're getting in the trade. The Maple Leafs also dealt defenseman Alex Biega to Nashville in exchange for future considerations in a minor deal on Monday. So that's it. That's all the trades that were made for the Toronto Maple Leafs ahead of the trade deadline. You can go back about a month ago when they acquired Ilya Labushkin, who has actually been serving on the top pairing with Morgan Riley as of late. He's really been a nice addition to this Toronto Maple Leafs team, bolstering that blue line, and that's really what the main goal of this trade deadline appeared to be for Kyle Dubas in this front office. So there's some good news for the Toronto Maple Leafs. They acquired Mark Giordano, and when this defensive core is healthy, if they ever get healthy together, you have Jake Muzzin, TJ Brodie, Morgan Riley, and Mark Giordano. That's a solid unit. However, it was also announced on Monday that Rasmus Sandin has been placed on injured reserve with a knee injury. Definitely a big hit to that blue line. The Maple Leafs got some help on their back end with the addition of Mark Giordano. And if you want to go back a month ago, looking at the addition of Ilya Labushkin, that's also been a fine addition. So the blue line, they've really added to that need. But the biggest need that this team has had over the past few months has been goaltending, and that is not something that was addressed at this trade deadline. There were reports that came out on Sunday that the Toronto Maple Leafs were potential suitors for Marc-Andre Fleury in a trade with the Chicago Blackhawks. That trade never actually came to fruition, but you have to wonder what an addition of a reigning Vezina Trophy winner and a 3-time Stanley Cup champion would do for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Right now, the Toronto Maple Leafs are heavily relying on Jack Campbell to get healthy, Peter Mrazek to gain some confidence and get comfortable in the net for the Toronto Maple Leafs, and Erik Källgren, believe it or not, to actually continue his hot stretch of play to start his NHL career. I'm not sure that the Toronto Maple Leafs have a starting goaltender right now. Kyle Dubas is really betting on one of these three to emerge as a starting goaltender, gain some confidence going into the playoffs. I'm not sure that's a bet he wants to make, but aside from Marc-Andre Fleury, there really wasn't a big goaltender market at this trade deadline. It's always hard to acquire a goalie and have that goaltender impact your team positively going into the playoffs. They also added more depth up front with the addition of center Colin Blackwell. But when I'm looking at this trade deadline for the Toronto Maple Leafs, it was a really disappointing day for that front office, you'd have to think. With that report of the Marc-Andre Fleury trade coming out, Kyle Dubas was visibly frustrated in his press conference. And Rasmus Sandin on injured reserve, that's not good news, especially when you have Jake Muzzin on injured reserve already with really no timetable for a return. With all these players sidelined, Jack Campbell, Jake Muzzin, and Rasmus Sandin, the Toronto Maple Leafs are really counting on Mark Giordano to be all that was advertised and to make a big impact, be a big addition for this team heading into the playoffs. When I'm looking at what the Maple Leafs did at this trade deadline, I think it's obvious that this team got better. But the thing is, so did everybody else in the Atlantic Division that's competing for a playoff spot, and same with the Metro. This Eastern Conference is loaded. The Pittsburgh Penguins got better. Boston, Tampa Bay, Florida. The Toronto Maple Leafs have their work cut out for them going forward. Well, I think what the Maple Leafs did with the addition of Mark Giordano is great, but when you compare that to other teams in the Eastern Conference, I'm not sure that the Maple Leafs will have what it takes to go deep in the playoffs. We will see. Obviously, we'll see. That's what we've been saying for a really long time, but it remains to be seen if the Maple Leafs can actually make that push this season. And when you're looking at the Eastern Conference and the way it's stacking up, shaping up to be right now, I don't think that's going to be easy. I feel it was a solid trade deadline for the Toronto Maple Leafs, but if goaltending ends up being the issue in the playoffs, you know everybody is going to look back at this trade deadline and they're going to say, the Minnesota Wild acquired Marc-Andre Fleury for a conditional first-round pick. Even with all the frustration of that report coming out and the addition of Rasmus Sandin to the injured reserve list, I think that was still pretty solid. I want to know what you think in the comments section below. How are you feeling about the Maple Leafs additions to their blue line and up front with the addition of Colin Blackwell? And how do you feel this team's shaping up going into the playoffs? Let me know in the comments section below. Thank you for watching. Until next time, I'm Jake Varco.